Hello everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16e and compare it against the iPhone 13 and see which particular iPhone is the better one for you. Now, I would probably say in some ways the iPhone 16e is better, but there are also some interesting ways the iPhone 13 might actually end up being a better phone than the iPhone 16e. So we'll take a look at both these things and both these phones throughout this whole entire video. First things first though, if at any point you want to go ahead and buy something like an iPhone 16e or an iPhone 13 or any phones in between, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the iPhone 13, which came out back in 2021, on the front side of this particular phone is basically going to be giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now with this type of panel, it still is like a pretty decent looking phone for the most part. You have that notch up top which still looks pretty good, not really too much to complain about here. It's a 60Hz panel. It doesn't really get the brightest, but it's a good panel for the most part, but it's definitely not perfect. When you're looking at other devices though in the brand new market now, most phones nowadays are giving you some sort of ProMotion display or 120Hz display. You look at some of the other competitors, but this one came out in 2021. It's a cheaper phone, so it does kind of make sense, I guess, a little bit to where it's at right now. So in terms of that, that's kind of that. On the iPhone 16e, on the other hand, this is a little bit of a different story. So with this type of panel, this type of device is giving you the same size 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. The thing with the iPhone 16e though, is that this is a brand new phone. It's $600 something. This is not like a super cheap device. And for this phone looking the way it does in 2025, without a ProMotion display, with no dynamic island, with nothing like that, I feel like this type of design is aged more than the iPhone 13's design, even though they look the same. The 13 came out 3 years ago, right? The iPhone 16e just came out. Like, it's insane that this phone even kind of looks like this. So I do think from that particular perspective, that is kind of one of the more important things and takeaways to kind of keep in mind here. On the bottom though, this is a pretty big thing. The iPhone 13 is giving you a lightning port. The iPhone 16e is basically giving you this, USB Type-C port. So I do think that is a really nice thing to keep in mind there. Like, being able to go through and get that type of capability is really cool. If you're upgrading from an iPhone 13 to an iPhone 16e, you're definitely going to be getting and feeling like you are getting a better phone overall from that particular perspective. So I would probably tell you from that particular side, that is in and of itself another really cool thing to keep in mind there as well. On top of that, on these sides, both are flat-sided. On the back side though, the iPhone 16e is giving you this frosted glass back. The iPhone 13 is giving you this standard glass back. So that right there is kind of an interesting thing. But on the flip side, the iPhone 13 is giving you a dual camera setup, where the iPhone 16e is giving you this single camera setup. So this is another very, very interesting kind of takeaway here. When you're looking at both these phones, like, how is it that when you're looking at something like an iPhone 16e, this phone just came out and it's giving you a less camera than a phone that came out 3 or 4 years ago? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me at all. But on top of that, another very big thing is that with the iPhone 13, this is basically giving you MagSafe capability. The iPhone 16e is not giving you MagSafe capability whatsoever. So that is, once again, in and of itself, another super crazy thing to keep in mind here. Like, imagine being able to go through and buy one of these types of phones and then kind of run into this type of situation, right? Like, I feel like that is kind of a really, really strange situation here that we have with the iPhone 16e, because it's not a terrible phone, it's not an ugly phone, but it's just so weird. It's like, well, like, why would you even want to buy that phone when you can buy other phones in the used market? And like, a phone 3 or 4 years ago that came out is like kind of better than this one. It's a really, really weird thing. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens, but for the most part, at least on the exterior, that's kind of how both these phones kind of hold up from that particular perspective. Now, on top of that, when it does kind of come down to some other areas of these devices, when it comes down to the iPhone 16e and the iPhone 13, a big thing you're going to have to keep in mind here is that with the cameras, they are very interesting. So with the iPhone 13, you're getting two 12-megapixel cameras. It's a wide, and an ultra-wide camera. The iPhone 16e is only giving you a single 48-megapixel fusion camera. Now, with that being said, the camera that you have inside of the iPhone 16e is very good. It's a very good type of sensor. It's a nice looking sensor for the most part. And I do think that is in and of itself a really nice thing going on for that type of phone. The fact that you can buy it, it holds up well. Like, both these cameras are good. They both have the same resolutions as well, 4K at 60 frames per second. But here's, once again, kind of the problem that we're running into with both these phones. With the iPhone 16e, it's like, why would you want to go ahead and like buy that type of phone with a single camera setup, right? What's the advantage of that type of phone? The only advantage that we really have with that type of phone is that with the iPhone 16e, you're basically, getting a phone that's giving you this like visual intelligence from Apple Intelligence, which is kind of cool. And then it allows you to zoom in twice as much than the iPhone 13. The 16e gives you 2x zoom. The 13 is giving you 1x zoom. So that is in and of itself kind of a feature going on for the iPhone 16e as well. But in my opinion, when I look at both these phones, definitely a device like an iPhone 16e is going to be giving you a higher quality sensor in some ways, but the iPhone 13 also is giving you an ultra-wide camera, which the 16e does not have, which is a really interesting thing. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their software longevity, this is another very interesting thing to keep in mind here as well. So between both these devices, right, like they're both still supported with software, but when we're taking a look at the future of both these phones, this is a big takeaway. So with the iPhone 13, it's probably not going to last forever. Obviously, neither phones are going to, but the 13 probably has like another 3 years of software updates ahead of it. So that type of phone is still going to be here. It's giving you like another couple of years. The 16e, on the other hand, is going to be lasting for like many more years to come. Like the iPhone 16e is probably going to be lasting for like another like 6 to 7 years. Like that phone is going to be lasting for a long period of time. So if you're wanting a phone that is going to be giving you a longer software supported phone, it's definitely going to be the iPhone 16e. And even when it comes down to the battery life, the battery of the iPhone 13 is giving you about 19 hours of video playback. That is actually, in and of itself, another very cool thing. With the iPhone 16e, this phone is giving you 26 hours of video playback. That is in and of itself, once again, another very cool thing. If you're going to go through and pick up a device, like I said and mentioned before, that is in and of itself another awesome thing to keep in mind here. So I, for one, I love being able to go through and pick up these types of devices, because both these phones are going to be lasting for quite a bit of time, but the 16e is definitely going to be killing it in terms of the battery life. Performance-wise, again, the iPhone 16e is definitely going to be winning here. The 16e is giving you the Apple A18 chipset with 8 gigs of RAM. The iPhone 13 is going to be giving you the Apple A15 bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigs of RAM. So you're getting twice the amount of RAM inside of the iPhone 16e, which is crazy. And then with the iPhone 13, you're also basically going through and still maintaining other things inside of this phone too. Like the 13 is still going to be giving you very good capability, a very good chipset inside, but the 16e is definitely going to be dominating it when it comes down to the performance. And because that phone is also giving you Apple Intelligence, it's going to be giving you a little bit more capability when it comes down to that side as well. And I do think, once again, that in and of itself is another awesome thing to kind of keep in mind there as well. So overall, when I look at something like both these phones, I think both these devices have done a really good job. I think the iPhone 13, right, does a really good job for giving you some of these flagship features, things like these ultra-wide cameras and, the MagSafe capability. And it's a cheaper phone, so it gives you like a better value per dollar. The iPhone 16e, on the other hand, this type of phone, I think does a really good job in most other areas too, right? It's a faster phone, better phone, camera quality could be better, and it's going to be a phone that's going to be lasting longer, and it gives you more features. But even at that point, I still feel like something like an iPhone 13 might actually end up being a better value per dollar. But if you're going to go for a 16e, I would just recommend buying an iPhone 15 Pro at that point. That is going to be a phone that's going to be giving you an overall better experience. And that's the one that I would highly recommend people to buy, more so than something like an iPhone 13 or 16e. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.